to our listeners and my friend and companion, Tienus Skippers. Thank you for helping me out every time. I appreciate.
Thank you, Willem. It's always good to discuss these things that are important to us with you and with our viewers, and we hope that they will enjoy this episode.
Yeah, and actually we discuss it because we believe it's also important for you as the viewer. And perhaps a lot of this stuff it's new to you, but that's why we are doing it. We hope to fill some gaps out there about the topics that we discuss, and it's all about mediation. And we said in the last episode we ended off with where there's agreement and everything is sorted for mediation, but the mediation process, the actual process to follow. And we didn't mention that what we are handling today or are going to discuss today will also be part and parcel of the pre-mediation discussions.
Yes.
Because it's so important for the participants, the disputants, to understand where we come from with the 5 pillars, if you want to call it 5 pillars, but actually it is 5 principles.
Yes.
Of mediation. And Tienus, please take us quickly through it.
Well, Willem, the first one is that the mediation process is always a voluntary process, and we've already touched on that. The parties come to the mediation room or to the mediation table voluntarily. You cannot summon someone to come to the mediation table. That happens in court and in litigation. But in mediation, it is always voluntary to join the mediation process. And as we've said last time, it's also voluntary for the mediator to engage with the parties that are bringing a dispute to the mediation room.
And the next one will be confidentiality. You can think for yourself. If there's one requirement, usually from parties, is if we can just keep it between us and walls. Now, I have to point out that is a difference, a big difference between mediation and litigation. Where litigation, the washing go to the street, but not in mediation. It's confidential, and the details of what we mean by confidentiality we will talk about that in broader terms in the next episode. But very important to understand today is from a mediator's side, it is not as if you as parties can only expect from the mediator to handle your stuff or the talks with confidentiality. It's also that the mediator will always ask from the parties present in the process to handle whatever is discussed with confidentiality. So that's the first two. To understand it's voluntarily and it's a confidential process. What's the next one?
The third pillar is one of impartiality. And again, we have touched on it a little bit. A mediator is expected to have high ethical standards. So if there's any bias, the mediator should withdraw from the process. The mediator cannot be partial to any party or to any
standpoint or viewpoint
or issue that is raised within the mediation process. He must be impartial at all times.
And that's very important to know. And whenever one of the parties would feel that there is a lack of impartiality, it's your prerogative to tell the mediator, but I think you are now impartial on this point. So it's a very open process. It's a very honest process. The next one that is also, I have to point that out again, is a huge difference between litigation and mediation is the empowering point of mediation. Why do we say mediation is empowering? Well, we discussed in previous episodes how a good mediator, trained mediator, should be able to handle the discussions, the communication flow, the listening skills, and these type of things. And the mere pointing out of what is the essence, what's the root of what we are disputing about. And that's fresh, new news for the participants. It's empowering them to understand their own problem and themselves better by listening attentively to every word spoken by the participants and actually translating it to the participants. What do you hear? What's been said? For the first time, the speaker now hears how the word spoken was received and what was derived from that. And that empowers a process of understanding myself better, seeing that I'm actually not talking to the solution point, but I'm drifting. I'm drifting from what is the actual point of dispute. That is so much empowering that it leads to a fresh approach to the conversation. It brings a new communication level into finding a solution for the problem. That in the end, it is not just arriving at a solution. The participants, the disputants, goes out of the process with a feeling of, wow, for the first time I really understand what it was all about. And I'm so proud of myself that I could have been part of the solution as well. But that's actually the next point.
Yes. So we've already covered that the four pillars, that first it must be voluntary, secondly confidential, then the impartiality of the mediator, the fact that the process is empowering to the parties in dispute so that they can formulate their own solutions to the problem. And then the last one is that with the mediation process, unique solutions are indeed possible. The solutions that are sought are very much contextualized and connected to the problem at hand. And any kind of solution that is not prohibited by law is possible within a mediation process. This is again in stark contrast with litigation and arbitration, because courts are creatures of law, and they can only do what the law allows them to do. But within the mediation process, the parties can come up with real unique solutions that suit their circumstances and where they can feel very comfortable and satisfied with that solution that is derived from the mediation process.
And why we call it a unique solution? It is only when you are really with your boots in the mud and in the water, you understand the difficulties, you understand the requirements, you've got a dream for the outcome, that person or persons are the best equipped to find a solution that is lasting.
Yes.
Because if it's not worked out by somebody with the same feel and heart in the situation, it so easily ends up with, yeah, but no, I'm not satisfied, but it's forced on me, so I'll accept, but I rebel inside about what is forced on me. with a unique solution. You were part and parcel of finding the solution. Otherwise, it was not a solution. It's never accepted as a solution in mediation if there is not mutual agreement from the parties. Not from the mediator and one party, from the parties in dispute. We are satisfied that we arrived at the best possible solution to our problem. And again, it's all about relationship.
It's a relationship, and it also allows ownership. Because when you own the solution that you have come to in the mediation process, it becomes sustainable as well. You will work hard in working out the solution because you were part and parcel of deriving at that solution. And that's where we want to be.
Exactly. And Tinus, in the next episodes, we are going to unpack each and every one of these 5 pillars and just explore it a little bit more, what is meant by voluntary. It's quite obvious, but we will group 2 or 3 together in an episode and then handle the rest in the next episode. But it is very important that our viewers do understand what sets mediation, the process of mediation, apart from arbitration and litigation. And we want to do our best to make you understand exactly that. From my side, till we meet again, bye-bye.
Goodbye.